Jonny Clayton.
100
Against Burl Larsen in Copenhagen, he got it right then against a vociferous crowd.
Yeah, and he built on that really well because he bounced back and
Game
he's got the double eight there for
Jonny Clayton. Third
a leveller.
First. Game on.
But having survived that Larsen match, he then went on to beat James Wade 6-2 in the third round.
That was a great performance.
Averaged almost 102 in that one, and then Simon Whitlock was his victim in the quarterfinals, 6-1. He just brutalised Whitlock. I thought then actually that Whitlock was going to have another fairly deep run. I mean, it was a good weekend for Whitlock in the main, but he just seemed to fizzle out really quickly.
50.
I did say, of course, that was the second best of the year. Do you know what the best one was?
Your best Euro Tour match of the year, my word. God, there's so many to choose from.
I'll give you a clue. It was really early
99
in the year.
Gosh, right, okay. I mean, I've got all sorts of options spinning through my head because let's face it, there have been so many. I mean, you could look back at the Gurney Rodriguez match just then and say that's a candidate, certainly in the top 10.
Very much so. Definitely a top 10.
Go on and put me out.
100.
Ratajski Smith.
Yeah.
That was just an unbelievable match. But this place here, where Michael Smith has tasted some success in making
60.
finals, he's no longer in the tournament, but just get the feeling that something's bubbling up here this weekend. We're going to see something pretty special. I would not be shocked to see something
60.
rival that Ratajski Smith match.
144.
And to get to a Sunday for Mike De Decker would be an excellent achievement right now for
42.
someone who has not got a tour card, and I find that so hard to believe. He's such a good player.
You just sense perhaps that the crowd are just taking a little opportunity here just to catch their breath with that Gurney match because they've got Peter Wright against Dimitri Vandenberg to come to terrific walk-ons, let alone the match itself. And then we've got Mensur against Gaulas to come as well. De Decker looking at 102, and he's looking at tops.
82.
I love it when
Jonny
young players go for the 42 on that exchange because it's the right shot. Too many guys go for the bull. But this one is the aggressive way for 92, double eight. Not to the rescue,
84.
and small misses for Clayton. If he'd have pinged all of his doubles, he would have been 3-0 up right now. It could be 2-1 down to De Decker. Is that too close? I think it is. How does he see this?
Oh.
No score.
Well, he's defied the laws of physics with that last start, I've got to say.
2 fours. For Clayton, he gets it, and he's got away with that one, Jonny Clayton.
Yes, he has. Not too convincing so far on the doubles. Missed starts at double 16 and double 8 there. He had those opportunities with double 8 and double 4 in the opener that he missed out on as well. Could easily be 3-0 up, but I think he'll settle for 2-1 right now. Hasn't been... I've talked about the misses on the European Tour this year for Jonny Clayton. But let's not forget, he is a man who has won a PDC title this year. He landed his third title of his career, beating Gabriel Clemens in Players' Championship 10 in Barnsley. That was his second Players' Championship title, and it came almost a year on from his
96.
previous PDC title win at the Austrian Darts Open.
Yeah, he's racking up the titles in a steady fashion, is Jonny. But it has not been his best summer.
39.
The late winter and early spring was very good. There were brilliant signs, and him winning a title was not an accident. It was expected from a lot of pundits and experts within the game.
59.
But he's probably glad that he had the break over the summer just to try and figure some stuff out, and maybe now he can kick into the autumn and get himself back
60.
on the winning train.
Well, we spoke briefly to Dimitri Vandenberg on the way back to the hotel last night, and Dimitri, amongst other things,
100.
was really happy for Mike De Decker. He watched the match, he stayed behind and watched Mike De Decker's match last night as he came through against Chris Dobie, which was a really tough assignment for De Decker. 6-5 it was in the end, but it was littered with missed starts at double. There were 36 in total between the two of them. But that was really welcome for Decker, because we touched on it in commentary yesterday. 4 first-round defeats prior to this weekend, this year on the European Tour. There were 2 first round defeats last year as well. Hadn't won a European Tour match since Gibraltar in June of last year when he beat Gian Artus in the opener before losing to Gerwin Price.
It wasn't his losses to Ruby John Rodriguez.
Yes, it was. That was in Zwolle 6-2 when Rodriguez pummeled in that 109 average.
Well, Jonny on 80 has left himself double 10. And unbelievably, I mean, why would you do that? He's hit a 60, then he's slipped into the 50 and scored 75. He's got 5 left, and instead of hitting a 1 or a 3 to leave a double, he's bust it to leave 80. I have never seen anybody do such a thing. But maybe it's because he's got so much time. He's getting there, but he's doing it the hard way. Wow, that was mystifying. One thing you can say about Jonny Clayton, when you watch him, you are going to be entertained in a strange sort of way sometimes.
Jonny with a par 20.
Right. No 15s here, Jonny. Got to get it this time. Mike Dedecker's lurking on a 3-darter.
10. Mike Dedecker,
I bet he's wishing he didn't bust that 80 now.
Well, Dedecker certainly has rediscovered his touch with his finishing this weekend on the evidence of what we've seen so far, and he's looking good value here. That's the hard part. That's the easiest part.
Ooh.
Just couldn't quite complete the job.
I've just figured it out, Rob, why he didn't leave double 2. Hates double 2, Jonny Clayton. Where's the angle here? He couldn't see any of that double whatsoever because his darts are flat. The only space he had was to the right of the first dart, and this has been a nightmare leg for Clayton.
Look at that, 27 darts required, and he's still needing double 5, and he will not get any further opportunities. It's a 25 darts break of throw for the Belgian.
Yeah, go back to that 80 checkout where he slipped into the 15.
Game on.
He made a mistake there, Jonny Clayton, I have to say it. Because no matter how much you hate double 2, you've got to leave a double, no matter how big or small in that spot. And ironically, his favourite double is double 1.
93.
So why didn't he just hit a big 3 and leave your favourite? Ultimately, that little tangle has cost him the leg, and he's got to start from scratch. To his credit, he's done pretty well in that.
Yes, he certainly has. By the way, I just want to correct myself. I said Dedecker beat Gian Artus in that opening match in Gibraltar. As soon as I said it, I thought, was it? Didn't sound right. I thought it was, but it wasn't. It was Matt Padgett. I've just double-checked. It was 6-5 as well, so it was another tough battle for Dedecker to come through. But in the end, he was beaten by Gerwin Price in round 2 anyway.
Yeah, and going back to what I said about the game between Dedecker and Rodriguez in Zwolle. Now, Dedecker did lose that match, but it was no fault of his own. It was pure brilliance from Rodriguez, which is very similar to what we've seen the last couple of days from the little Austrian.
Well, in the last match between Gurney and Rodriguez, we were keeping a very close eye on the averages. I think after that 25-dart break of throw, I daren't take a look at the moment as to what the averages are. I don't think either player will really care too much. I think it's one of these matches that they'll just want to come through somehow.
Sometimes it's a good thing that you have a bad leg like that 44, in the middle of a match. You don't want to be the guy to lose the leg, of course, but it makes you forget about how well am I playing. It just goes out of your head.
Yeah, and I think that really stands true for Rodriguez as well. He had that one really poor leg, or below par leg, compared to everything else that he produced. Dedecker looking exasperated here.
Yeah, missed the big 16 to give himself a shot at tops. Clayton's got a very tricky 1-3-4, which is possible. Okay, he's got 74 and he's went for a 48. That would have left 26. Is that right? I told you he goes different ways for things. He's cranked it up a notch over the summer. In all my life, I've never seen anybody on 74 go for a 48. But it means nothing because Dedecker comes back and cleans up.
Yeah, well, Dedecker has won the last 2 legs by throwing 43 darts. That has to be a concern for Jonny Clayton. And as I suspected, Dedecker is leading 3-2, even though his average is below 75 at the moment. And Clayton just needs to somehow just sort this out. I said yesterday about, coming through these sticky moments and then when batting conditions become more benign, that's when you dig in and really take charge. But there's not really been that opening for Jonny Clayton so far. He got that early break, but he's not really settled into this one yet. But he's running out of legs in which to settle down.
I think Jonny scored okay here, but the weakness has been A, on the doubles, and B, on the correct approaches. He's made some mathematical calculation errors.
60.
He's been peppering that little 20. When he's missing, he's not missing by much. And if De Decker gets through this game, he may have to check his pockets for the opponent voodoo doll. Plenty of time, and Clayton looking at the 51 there. A lot of people would look at the 25 to leave the 96, which is the guaranteed 2-darter, but he's going to be under it.
180, Jonny McGrath, 180.
That makes things a little bit more interesting. A little bit of pressure here for Jonny Clayton, and that was perhaps the reason why that first start was an errant one.
80. Might require 94.
Because all of a sudden De Decker is poised and ready to make his move once again. Is that a single 4?
There's the 4 off. Interestingly, he went for a 60 for double 15.
42,
Boy, there's some strange ways of going in this game. The rule book has officially been incinerated. No thought of splitting there, because earlier in the match, Jonny Clayton had 18 and he split. This time he just went for it. Seems to have worked. 3-3.
120.
Let's not forget, I mean, we often do lose sight of this. We talk about the transitions of, say, Rob Cross from the Challenge Tour and Jamie Hughes more recently, and also Gerwyn Price, the great stuff he's done since becoming a dart player relatively recently. But, you know, Jonny Clayton himself, only 5 or 6 years as a professional player. Joined the PDC Pro Tour in 2015, winning a tour card on the final day of Q School that year. Former rugby player as well.
Well, considering how many years Jonny Clayton has been playing, he's very much a late starter in the pro ranks. I'll tell you a short story about the county they used to play darts for, Pembrokeshire. They had a fabulous lady player called Julie Gore. Flicked the flight, we saw it on the camera angle there. And now, because of that 3, instead of a 17, he's got a much more difficult decision. 54 leaves 24.
74.
It's frustrating for him because he's had the opportunities, Jonny Clayton. And double 10 for De Decker is coming to his rescue more than once.
Game on.
Well, there was that glut of missed doubles or missed darts at double yesterday between De Decker and Dobie. 36 in total. We've had 24 already in this one, but it actually lends itself to the drama. Actually, you can just sense that the tension on stage is very tangible.
I think you read about the crowd as well, Rob. It's very pensive out there.
I think there's a lot at stake here for both players. Clayton, for all his good work this year in the main, and the good work that he's done over the last 3 or 4 years, he will be conscious of the number of pounds of ranking money he's lost on the European tour this year.
Well, one thing he doesn't have to worry about is the European Championships.
Well, no, because he got that semi-final and he's picked up a couple of 3 third-round appearances elsewhere. But he's had opening defeats in the German Darts Grand Prix, the German Open, Graz, where he was, of course, the defending champion.
59.
In Zwolle and also in Prague. Now, for a player of his pedigree and calibre, that is something he'll want to rectify, no doubt about that. De Decker, big achievement this weekend in winning a first-round match. That's been long overdue, but having done that, he's not going to be wanting to rest on his laurels. He'll want to build on this, and he'll want to make the most of this opportunity. It could suddenly open up because, as we said, the winner of this to face Roby John Rodriguez won't be easy, but maybe he'll run out of steam sooner or later. And suddenly you're looking at a place in the quarterfinals.
If you're going to have 2 misses from a 60 checkout, you want them to be above tops twice, probably. But now, double 19. Oh, look at that for a game changer from Mike De Decker. Where did that come from?
Ninth place, Mike to through first.
Jonny Clayton
Game on.
needs some anti-sickness medication right now because somebody's hit him with a sick stick.
Well, who was it yesterday who produced that 158 checkout? That was James Wilson.
Early in the day as well.
Against Gavin Carlin in that 6-2 win. He did it in leg 3. It was a break of throw. Not the highest checkout of the weekend. We had 161 from the great Vincent van der Voort.
Oh, that was a pearler, wasn't it?
But that is priceless. That
125.
for a break of throw and for a 5-3 lead.
I think we're starting to understand why Mike de Decker is probably one of the most infuriating talents on Planet Darts. Because he pulls out a 158 out of nowhere, and the stuff in between has been infuriating for him. If you're a Mike de Decker fan, it must be very hard to watch sometimes. Has got the ability.
59.
But right now, Jonny Clayton is backed into a corner. And they always say don't put a ferret in a corner. But he's going to have to start biting now.
Well, Mike de Decker reached the 3rd round of the Dutch Darts Masters 2 years ago. He lost 6-2 to John Henderson. It's the only time he's made the final day of a European Tour event. He is on the verge of emulating
Johnny
that.
Ricard,
Now he's trimmed off the 99 to leave 2 ton. Jonny Clayton on 150. And this would be for a break back.
100.
Great last dart. Now he's got options. And you would think that Johnny's going to go for an 18 because he is very good at hitting double 16 usually.
140.
But the pressure's on.
Johnny Ricard,
once
50.
again, now we saw this before. Clayton was errant with his first dart when the pressure had been applied. Not this time. Double 16. Inside for double 8 for 5-4. Off
42.
target, and that could well be that. Missed darts to get back on terms, or at least get back on track, and de Decker now looking at tops for a place in round 3 of the Austrian Darts Championship. And for only the 2nd time in his career, Mike de Decker makes his way through to the final day of a European Tour.